What's up, guys? My name is Seth Spartan, and I'm a nutrition, training, and hormone expert for Prometheus HRT, Testosterone and Hormone Replacement Clinic. Let me tell you a little bit more about me. When I was in high school, I got into lifting weights, and when I was 16 years old, I could bench press 350 pounds. I got into powerlifting after that, won a bunch of stuff, and by the time I was 19, I was able to bench press 410 pounds, squat 550, and deadlift 600. After that, I switched to bodybuilding because I wanted to get paid to do what I love, and I thought I could be great. I won the Teenage Mr. Wisconsin at 19, and after that, I thought I could be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I was being delusional, but being pushed by the older bodybuilders didn't help. In my early 20s, I pulled the trigger and got completely juiced out. This was pharmaceutical grade with a prescription, so there was zero doubt of the quality I was using. I got absolutely jacked, and that's when these pictures were taken. At my biggest, I hit 260 pounds with visible abs. For reference, my height is 5'10 and a half on the dot. I felt invincible for these 2 years. That is, until I had heart problems. High amounts of testosterone or anabolic steroids will hypertrophy your muscles, but they will also hypertrophy your heart, which is a muscle. When the heart walls get too thick, your heart can't pump blood out efficiently anymore. This is what kills all the bodybuilders and athletes every single time. And this is what happened to me. I got heart dysfunction from my heart being too big and too thick. God then hit me over the head with a hammer, and I stopped everything, not just the drugs. I stopped my nutrition, my training as well, everything. I just did cardio. This is what I looked like a couple years later. Just a regular athletic dude. I got my heart scanned again with the same echocardiogram I got the first time, which diagnosed my heart issues before. And this time, everything went back to normal and was great. Praise God. Sometimes the heart doesn't go back to normal, unfortunately. I wasn't sure if I would ever bodybuild again, but after being reached out to by a testosterone replacement clinic and signing with them, I started the trek upwards again. This time to see what was possible on testosterone and HGH replacement. How far could I take it? I traveled the country competing. Then I wanted to see how big and strong I could get. 405 bench press for reps, 635 incline bench press for reps, and a 500-pound squat for a whopping 12 reps with sleeves. Yeah, I think I hit close to my peak with that. I didn't feel like getting fat to be able to move even more weight. So now this leads us to our current conquest and adventure, aesthetics. Jack Frank Zane sounds good to me. The goal of my channel, public speaking events, and when I talk to people in the gym is this: stop using anabolic steroids. There are severe health consequences. Stay natural or do testosterone and HGH replacement. We are currently living in a real-life steroid epidemic. Now let's have fun, guys, and get into the video. I am Seth Spartan. Yeah, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here, nutrition, training, and hormone expert. Boom, for Prometheus HRT, Hormone Replacement Clinic. Guys, today I'm going to be telling you what you guys don't want to hear. I'm going to offend a lot of people, but I don't care. This is what you need to know. Bodybuilding, fitness, athletics, genetics is everything. Now, what am I talking about? Genetics is everything. Doesn't matter how many drugs you take. Doesn't matter how hard you work out, if you work out correctly, if you don't, if you eat a perfect diet, high protein, all your essential fats, get your cholesterols, etc. Nothing matters if your genetics are trash. Now, that's not to say that you can't make improvement. Of course, anybody, if you're living, you can make improvement. Okay, but what I'm talking about is this. Even though I'm on testosterone replacement, HGH replacement, both peaked up, top of the range, even though, you know, if I stick to a perfect diet, eat perfect, all my proteins, essential fats, and even if I do AMF training, absolute muscular failure training, I recover, I do everything perfect. Guess what? My calves don't grow like the rest of me does, okay? And I'm going to be at a disadvantage in terms of if we're talking about, you know, professional bodybuilding or something like that. You know, granted, having said that, I've doubled my calf size, just about doubled my calf size. It's crazy. Okay, by just doing everything perfect and training just crazy. But guess what? They don't respond like the rest of me. Now, the reason I pick calves is because it's the same thing with every body part. Some guys have a weak chest. Some guys have weak shoulders. Some guys have weak biceps, weak everything. Boom. I'm blessed, I'm thankful, because I don't really have, I don't have any major weaknesses except my calves. I have the runner's calf, which is great if I was a runner, because less effort is required to run miles. But guess what? For bodybuilding, I don't have as many type 2 muscle fibers in my calves as somebody else with different genetics. Like my wife, for example, she's got the Popeye calves, I call them, all right? But this is just one example about how genetics is everything. It's the same thing with sports. Some people have better cardiac output from their heart. Some people have better blood flow. Some people have more type 1 fibers, less type 1 fibers, more type 2 fibers, less type 2 fibers. And athletic ability in terms of both for bodybuilding, for sports, everything, guys, varies drastically per person. So when I say genetics is everything, I mean genetics is everything, because guess what? If you got bad genetics, you can't overcome it with hard work. You cannot overcome your genetics with hard work. You cannot overcome, if you've got more fat cells, like put it this way, the people that do the best, for example, in bodybuilding, not only, do they typically build muscle better than the average person, right? And they have full muscle bellies and all that stuff, right? But they also are genetically leaner. What does that mean? Your genetics and also how fat you got when you're a child dictates how many fat cells you have. Well, guess what? The people that do the best in, we'll just take bodybuilding, for example, and also, something like football, the people, well, for the runners, right, receivers and stuff, but the people that do the best have, not only do they build more muscle, but also they have less fat cells. And that's the thing too, guys. Some people are just genetically leaner. Some people are genetically more muscular. I hold more muscle than the average individual male. I have probably the top 10% of genetics in terms of muscle building. And I'll just say that, boom, openly, because, with decent diet and hard training, I was benching 350. I could bench 350 at 16 years old with good diet, sleeping like 10 hours a night, and just hard training, okay? Natural. That's unheard of. Not unheard of, but it's like, that's extremely rare. The other people my age, they couldn't do anything close to that. Is that because, I trained harder? Well, I did train a little bit harder, but guess what? Even if I know hands down, even if they trained as hard as I did, they wouldn't break 300. So the thing is, genetics is everything in terms of strength, size, weaknesses. Now, guess what? On the flip side, I see this nonstop all the time. I see people in the gym. I see people I meet. They have phenomenal genetics. They have less fat cells than the average male. They have more muscle than the average male. And they don't have genetic weak points in terms of type 2 muscle fibers like I'm talking about with myself and the calves. And honestly, guys, that's the only weak point I really have. So I meet people like this, and they have everything. And guess what? They don't use it. They don't use their God-given genetics and ability. And it just kills me, because it's like, man, you could be so good at anything in that arena, and they don't use it. They're smoking weed and playing video games, and not that there's anything wrong with that. Well, it's not that there's anything wrong with playing video games. I don't think people should be getting high or smoking weed unless they're using it for sleep or some medicinal purpose. But that's besides the point. You guys are adults. You can do what you want. But the point is, guys, is that I see tons of people who are extremely gifted, and they don't use what God's given them, or they just slack off. They don't, and that boils me, because then there's other people who don't have they're not given, because that's what it is. You're given. You don't pick your parents. There's other people who have hardly anything, and they're working hard. So guys, you'll never overcome your genetics. I'm sorry to say that, okay? I'm sorry to say that. I meet guys who do train extremely hard. I take people through workouts, and people, today, you train as hard as me, you eat like me, you do everything perfect. Let's say you do everything perfect like me. You live exactly the same. Guess what? You're going to get bigger, stronger, but you're never going to be as strong as me, and you're never going to look like me. And I'm not trying to discourage people, because it is unbelievable the progress you can make. Put it this way: testosterone replacement, HGH replacement, both to the top of the range, perfect diet, and with AMF training, you do everything perfect. You can make great gains, insane gains, but guess what? You can't break your genetics. So guys, that's pretty much it. Boom, Seth Spartan, stay safe, stay healthy. And this applies to not only bodybuilding, but also fitness and athletics. Genetics is everything. Genetics is king. We're out of here.